Today I've got the dates for you for the strikes that are intended at Heathrow Airport this summer. I'm going to show you with my video footage the experience of going on a transfer, and this I think will be the same no matter what cruise line you are on this summer that runs transfers from Seatac to the port and then from the port back to Seatac Airport. I've got, like I said, my video footage so that I can show you in detail how that works so that you'll be comfortable with it. And then we are going to talk about dining on cruise ships. I feel like I keep hearing about not the greatest dining experiences, thinking a lot about how it's changed over the years, and I really do think we need to talk about it. So let's go ahead and get started. Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips. Today is Friday, it is June 9th of 2023, and let's start off really quickly with what the strike dates are there at Heathrow. They have got dates that range from June 24th through August 27th of 2023, when the security workers have announced that they are going to strike on those days. I think it's important to keep these days in mind if you'll be traveling around those dates, because it will impact the amount of time that you need at the airport, especially when you come back to check in to take your flight out of Heathrow. So in June, they are going to strike June 24th and the 25th, the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th. Then in July, they are going to strike the 14th, 15th, 16th, the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, and then the 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st of July. So when you think of the impact of these strikes, I think it's going to not only be on the day that they are striking, but also I think it's going to start to pile up, kind of be an aggregate effect of missing so many days. And then finally in August, they are going to strike the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th, the 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th, the 18th, 19th, 20th, the 24th, the 25th, the 26th, and the 27th. So if you didn't hear my video yesterday, the security workers are striking because they want to be paid more, and they don't feel like what has been offered by management thus far meets what they feel like they should be getting. It's really interesting as you read the stories about this, you hear their side of it, and everything has gone up so much everywhere. I get it. At the same time, I also understand that the airport's operator recorded a £139 million loss for the first 3 months of this year. So Heathrow is still trying to bounce back from COVID and everything that happened with that. And then for the first 3 months of this year, they recorded such a loss. So these strikes are having an impact, and so it's hard. I understand the workers want to be paid more, and I understand that the people that pay them maybe don't have the money to pay them more. So it's kind of a hard situation. But if you're flying in and out of Heathrow, allow a lot of extra time. The next thing I want to touch on super fast is we have mentioned before that if you have booked a Princess transfer in Vancouver to get you from the Vancouver airport to the ship, you are going to most likely be given a taxi voucher. And then they'll show you where the taxi queue is. So we've got a Let's Go family member off on a glorious Alaska cruise tour, and she was so kind to let us know that this just barely happened to her again. So they took him, of course, to the taxi stand where you catch your taxi, and the taxi was very direct, the taxi driver, and said, yes, Princess paid for the voucher, but it's your responsibility and you have to tip us. And so of course she said, yes, we will tip you, and they took them to their hotel where they were going, and indeed they did tip them. But be aware that's how they're doing it, okay? When you go into Vancouver and you're going to take that Princess transfer, most likely it is not going to be the shuttle bus that we are accustomed to when it's a Princess transfer to get you from the airport to your hotel. And then I have not heard from this family member yet, but other family members have shared that they receive another voucher to use to get from the hotel down to the ship the next morning. So really a different experience. So just be prepared for that. Now, here's a few things. let's talk about embarkation and disembarkation using the transfer system in Seattle, because I think that's going to be really valuable. And then we're going to talk about dining. So if you really don't want to hear about this, which I think it is really valuable no matter where you're going, because it gives you a good window into how the transfers work. But if not, Gordon's putting the chapters in. You can catch the dining discussion at the end because it's really important. I think it really was, when Gordon and I came to a realization about a few things, it really put into perspective where we are. So first of all, now, as I have said lots of times, Gordon and I fly in the night before, take that free airport shuttle to the hotel, and then it's really the hotel shuttle, from the airport to the hotel, and then in the morning, the free shuttle back from the hotel to the airport. You go right to baggage claim. Now, the baggage claim at Seatac, of course, is really busy. It's a busy airport anyway, but then you put cruise season on top of that, and it's even busier. And so I tried to video a little bit and show you, but just in the short amount of time we were there, I saw a few different cruise lines. So we were on Holland America. I saw the people for Norwegian and for Princess there as well. And so what you do is they've got a sign, and so you go up to them and say, I'm booked on your transfer. They take your luggage, and then they direct you. At the Seatac airport, they tell you how to get there, and it's quite a walk, but you follow their directions and walk down to where you are going to be able to meet up with the next set of people to check you into the waiting area. Now, when you are taking a transfer really anywhere, it is usually first come, first serve. I love how organized it is at Seatac. When I was on the Discovery Princess at the end of December, and that was out of LAX, it was really very disorganized, not organized at all. So you really have to pay attention when you're with a transfer, okay? But there in Seatac, you get down there and you check in with the next group of workers there, and you just tell them which cruise line you are with and which ship you're going on, and they'll hand you a card. It's a reusable card that tells you which group you're in. And then they've got a large seating area, and you just go sit down and wait. And then when they call your group number, it means it's time to get on the transfer. And so it depending on how early you are and how quickly the transfers are going, you can be sitting there for not very long to up to quite a while. So just be prepared that you're going to have some time just to chill out and enjoy there. They don't have, when we were there anyway, they didn't have any water to drink or any snacks. So make sure that if you need a snack, that you bring it with you, and a bottle of water or whatever you need to have with you. Make sure that you've got that in case you're waiting for quite some time. Now, let's see. So once they call your number, you line up and you get on the bus. If you have any luggage with you that you want to keep with you, because remember, when you check in for the transfers, they take your luggage that they will then bring to your cabin later. If you've got luggage with you, like I always have my little rolling carry-on in my tote, you can give it to the bus driver and he or she will stow it underneath the bus. I always give them my rolling bag, and then I keep my tote bag with me. I just hold it on my lap on the transfer bus. It's no big deal. So you do that, and then you get on the transfer bus, and then they take you down to the port. Sometimes we have had bus drivers that are really interesting. They tell you a little bit of history. They tell you what you're looking at as you drive. This time our bus driver didn't make a peep, and that's okay. So once you get down to the port, they pull you right up to where you need to disembark, and then they have you right there where embarkation starts. Once you get through that embarkation process, which is really very straightforward these days, you just show them your passport, or if you're using your birth certificate and your driver's license, just show them that and your app, and you're ready to go. There in Seattle, they really just wanted to see that you had done everything that you needed to do on the app. Literally hold up your phone and they would let you through. You go up, and then you go through security, and then you check with another person that looks at your passport and everything, and then you can just go to the waiting area to get on the ship. Alrighty. And they were really strict there. They wanted everyone to sit down. So they had a seating area for people who were on Holland America, and then right next to it, they had a seating area for people who were on Princess. So we waited until about 11 o'clock is when they started letting passengers on board. And of course, they boarded their people with the highest loyalty first and their suite passengers. But it didn't take very long, and then they were letting everyone go. And once again, they call you by group number. When you check in there, they give you a little thing that has your group number number on it, and then you go when they call your number. It was really easy. And then as you board, they just take that back so they can reuse it again. But it was really easy. And with Holland America, it's really nice. When we first arrived in that waiting area, we were maybe there for half an hour, 45 minutes. When we first arrived, they said, no, your cabins aren't going to be ready. So when you get on board the ship, just go get something to eat or whatever, but your cabins won't be ready. But before we boarded, they announced once again that the cabins would be ready. So that was super nice. And in that whole waiting area, there was a gentleman making announcements. He actually had a microphone, which was so nice because you could hear what he was saying, reminding everyone to sit down. People would want to come through once they, got done with the embarkation process as far as showing their documents, and they were ready to sit. They wanted you to sit down. They didn't want you to just stand around and clog up the walkways. And so we just did what they said and sat down. It was really nice. They had cookies and I think lemonade and water there if anyone wanted one. So that was a nice little touch. But we really enjoyed that. And I noticed on the Princess side that they were boarding more quickly. They didn't have to sit there for a long time like the Holland America people did. So I'm not sure what the difference was. Probably just the way they run their embarkation system. But it was went really smooth. And then once they called your number, you just went up, handed the card to the lady, and walked on just that fast. And on Holland America, you get your card when you get to your cabin. So know your cabin number, and it's in your app. If you forget, you can just look at it. But you go to your cabin, and it is just tucked inside. You know how they always have the little flap thing by the door to put papers in every day and everything. It is just tucked in an envelope right there, and in you go, right into your cabin. Then when the cruise was over, and we went back, it was really easy. I talked about it yesterday. You just go get on your bus. But the thing that I forgot to tell you about yesterday is that when you arrive back at the Seatac airport, and this is a big change for this year. When you arrive back, you come back to that same area that you were waiting the day that you were embarking on your cruise. So they bring you back to that same area. And if you have got luggage there, you collect it. If you use that Port Valet system, remember you have to sign up for it by like Tuesday of your cruise, then you don't have to worry about your luggage. But if you've got your luggage with you like we did, you go back over to that area where they had you waiting, and now Delta will check you in. Delta and Alaska Airlines. Big game changer. So you don't have to pull your luggage clear back over the distance that it is from that waiting area back over into the airport. You just turn it in right there. They check you in just like they do over in the other part of the airport. So if you have Sky Miles with Delta or Alaska Airlines, or the flights are the same price, that is a really nice perk to be able to check your luggage there and have it taken care of. So if you have any questions about any of that, just let me know. I'm delighted to help you with it, okay? And answer any questions below. Now let's talk about dining. So dining is on my mind a lot with cruise ships because we get so many comments about it. And like I always say, it is very subjective. You can give 3 people the same dinner. One person will think it's wonderful, one person will say it's fine, and the other person will say, I can't eat that. And so here's some things, though, that have recently, as Gordon and I talk about this a lot, what has really occurred to us. So just as a point of history, I've mentioned it before, but we have been cruising since 2014. I know that there are lots of you that have been cruising much longer, so you have an even better overview of this. But here are some thoughts that came to us. First of all, when we very first started cruising, it was in 2014. Like I said, our first cruise was a cruise to Alaska. I still remember our cruise fare for a balcony, and it was on the Golden Princess, was $1,800 and something each. Alrighty, so we didn't pay that much more to go on the cruise on Holland America that we just went on, a couple of $100s, but not half as much again, not twice as much. So that to me that's a point of reference for us. But the very first time that we went cruising and the couple of times after that, I feel like dining on no matter what cruise line you went on, it didn't have to be a luxury line. It could be anything, any of the cruise lines. It was much more of a fine dining experience based on our experience. You would not only have, I love that they have nice tablecloths and they have flowers on the table, and the waiters and the crew members that serve are dressed nicely. It's just a lovely experience. They try to, I still believe that to this day, they try to anticipate what you would like and try to take good care of you. How that gets interpreted sometimes is a little bit different, but I really do think that they do their best. But then when it came to the food was much more extraordinary. The food was closer to what you would find in a fine dining restaurant than you would find just in your average everyday run-of-the-mill restaurant, right? And I feel like that is one of the things that has changed over the years. I feel like the dining experience, as far as going and sitting down and having a nice dinner and having crew members to take good care of you, I feel like that is very similar. I don't feel like that has changed a lot. Back then, we'd have days evenings that it was slower getting dinner, just like we do now, and some evenings it would move along just fine. So to me, that part of the experience is very similar. But the part that has changed so much, I think, is actually the food and the way that sometimes it's served. Now, and that's the hard thing, because when you think of all of the factors that play into that, it's not just a change in, we had COVID in the middle of everything, which I think is a mile marker in our history. But at the same time, look at what prices have done. When I looked up and I was trying to, kind of aggregate it over the years, since 2013, it looks like, just based on what I can find, that food prices have gone up by at least half. And I know that varies a little bit on like what the actual food item is, but overall food items cost, half again as much as they cost in 2014. And so when you translate that into what it is like for the cruise lines to try to provide the same quality of food, the same cuts of meat, the same everything, like how on earth would you ever do that? I don't know how you would do that. And so I think that they're trying to walk the fine line, and this is just me, I don't work for the cruise lines, and I'm not privy to their conversations, but it would seem to me that they're trying to walk a fine line between keeping with the budget that they've got and trying to offer food that passengers will enjoy. And I know that is, like I said, so subjective, and people like different things. And it was really highlighted. So if you don't follow Exploring with Eric, he has a YouTube channel and he does a good job, but he is on the Grand Princess right now. And he pointed out that it is their second Dress to Impress night. And he said he has not been impressed on either formal night for dinner. Both have been a miss, but the other nights, he said, have been excellent. Tonight's was the land and sea night with lobster and steak. Both had no flavor, and the steak was a minute steak, which was okay, he said, but it should be better for a formal night. So that I thought he summed up really nicely where we are. Some nights food is like better than other nights. And sometimes, we're, used to a certain cut of meat and it's a minute steak instead. There's nothing wrong with a minute steak. It's just not historically what has been served on a formal night. But when you think of it, I know that meat where we live is really expensive. I think it's expensive everywhere. And so it changes like what I buy at the grocery store. And so I'm thinking it changes what the cruise lines are able to afford as well. So I'm not necessarily excusing it, saying it's right or it's wrong, anything like that. I think I'm just trying to put into words where we are right now, and I really want to hear what all of you think. I think that it's really important that we talk about these things, not only so it's just fun to talk about cruising, but also so that when we go on a cruise, we are happy with what we have, and we don't expect something that isn't there anymore, because it's not there anymore. And it's still lovely to go on a cruise. And if you have a minute steak instead of, a ribeye or, a New York strip, whatever it is that you enjoy the most, of course, everybody likes the other thing, but at the same time, where we are is at a minute steak. And so we'll just enjoy being on a cruise and be aware that we're probably going to get a minute steak, and it will have to be okay. If you are someone that really does not want to settle for a minute steak, then try the Crown Grill. I hope that's a good experience. I hear both. I hear both about the Crown Grill. And then also, if the whole situation, sometimes maybe try another cruise line. And there's nothing bad with trying something else, because you might find your favorite thing is something you haven't even tried before. So like I said, I will really look forward to hearing from all of you, and let me know if you're traveling through Heathrow on those days. Gordon looked, and we're not going through Heathrow on those days, but I am sure that we will see the impact of that, because they are striking for so long that is going to affect the experience there. You all are remarkable. Please do join us this evening for our live. We'll be here at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to talk about our Holland America cruise. You can ask your questions. We're going to talk about where we're going next, and all the questions you want to ask. We are really excited to get to have a live again. We have missed you for the last couple of weeks, so it'll be good to see you again. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. I appreciate that support. It really does make a big difference to us, and so thank you. And if you appreciate these updates, please give this video a thumbs up, and I'll be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.